All right, shalom to the hopeful elect. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Call Hello Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, all praises, honor and glory be to our power and his only begotten Son, Yahweh, in the name of his Son, Yahushai. Barak Yamlah, Habayath, Madabada, blessings to the house of David, and honors be to the elder apostles of Great Millstone and like-minded elders that teach this word in truth and in sincerity. This is the Brother Sagallah back another day, all through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. I pray this lesson is edifying, exhorting, and comforting, which is Philippians 4 and 7, the peace that surpasseth all understanding, which is this truth. And I'm going to speak and show a few articles here going into Brics in World War III, which is the demise of Babylon the Great, which is America in the Bible. And I'm going to start here, right, with Watcher.guru, and it goes into Brics GDP reaches 31 trillion with new members. And these are the founding members of Brics, which is short for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These are the founding members of what's known as the Brics bloc or the Brics alliance today. Now it goes on to say Brics, it says, inducted 6 new countries into the bloc, making the alliance financially stronger to take on the West. The 6 new countries that will join Brics are Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Argentina, Egypt, Iran, and Ethiopia. 5 of the new entrants are oil-producing countries, except for Argentina. And this is all strategic when you continue to read up on this and I bring more information out. This Brics is strategically, set up to basically push de-dollarization and the destruction of Babylon the Great financially, which we know is going to lead to war as well, according to prophecy. We'll get into the precepts touching on that. Now, continuing to read, it says, this puts the Brics bloc in a unique position to challenge the U.S. dollar's global supremacy. The combined Brics GDP is also growing tremendously and is much ahead of the United States GDP, which GDP goes into gross domestic product. Continuing on, therefore, the 11-country alliance is looking to turn the page by ushering in a new financial era. The bloc is looking to shift the balance of power from the West to the East and make developing countries lead, it says, the global economy. So that's the push of what's going on. Now, the GDP is well over the GDP of America. So the total in assets and financial power, right? The economic systems that's joining is causing many problems. And one of the major problems also is that these are oil producing countries, which the petrodollar is what we have today, right? Which has been off of the gold standard since the 1970s. Now is not backed by anything. So this is going to continue to weaken the dollar and bring forth its demise. Now, I have a few more articles I want to touch on here. Just touching on what we just read. And this says Brics officially agrees to end the use of the U.S. dollar. The Brics alliance has created, has called for the abandonment of the U.S. dollar for international trade at the summit in Johannesburg. Brics will officially end reliance on the United States dollar for global trade settlements moving forward. South Africa's president, it says, confirmed that the bloc collectively decided to abandon the U.S. dollar with no opposition. Brics will now continue promoting their respective local currencies for cross-border settlements and strengthening their native economies. The move will pave the way for the paradigm shift in the global economy and reshape the political landscape. Bilateral ties with other countries will be reworked. In the United States, it says, dollar will face stiff competition in the long run. And that's ultimately what Brics is here for, is to do away with the dollar. De-dollarization. Now, let's see if I got another one. Yeah, here goes another one here, which is touching on August the 30th, which is tomorrow. Now it says, the stock market crash alert, mark your calendars for August the 30th. This is just going into, basically how the quarters are being watched quarter by quarter and seeing all the signs that show forth that the market is soon to crash. It says the final second quarter of GDP reading is due this Wednesday, August the 30th. It says advanced GDP estimates have the U.S. economy expanded by 2.4% in quarter two. Depending on the results, the report may provide insight into the Federal Reserve's rate hike, why they keep raising the rates, right? Where the cost of all things and all goods are going up, which is causing inflation. It says reserve rate hikes trajectory for the rest of 2023. Elon Musk just unleashed a 15.7 trillion honeypot. Now it goes on to say concerns of a stock market crash, which you see a lot of the major investors like Elon Musk and Warren Buffett. I have an article on him, how he recently went and sold off billions and billions of dollars worth of stocks. And we'll get that article next. It says concerns of a stock market crash are growing ahead of this week's second quarter gross domestic product, right? So there's there's fear out there of the next crash, right? The financial crash, the financial system, falling apart. Now, continuing on, it says the report will inform economists of the impact of the Federal Reserve's historic rate hike campaign over the past year and a half or so. It says, as well as provide some insight into the central bank's future monetary policy changes. As such, the report will likely have a notable effect on equity markets, which have proven increasingly sensitive to economic data releases this year. Now, it just goes on to speak about that. Now, let's show some more of the movement, right? So this is going into Warren Buffett. You have major investors that are selling off a lot of stocks. Now, this is from Yahoo News. This is Kevin O'Leary says Warren Buffett selling $8 billion worth of stock is almost meaningless and won't crash the stock market. And this is all being pushed because more and more we're seeing all the signs that Babylon, the Great America, is falling, which is all prophecy, which we're about to get to. So I'm not going to read this article, but it just goes into showing men like Elon Musk and once again Warren Buffett, right, which are very wealthy men and billionaires and even trillionaires out here are selling stocks, and there's a lot of movement, in that area going into the stock market, etc. Now, let me go back and let me just go here, and I'll leave this up here on the screen as we get a few precepts. So now let's start. Let's do it this way. Let's start in the book let's start in Jeremiah 50. What we're seeing is all prophecy, and we can get a few precepts and just show the prophecy that's going on. And one of the major prophecies is that, Babylon the Great, America, is going to be destroyed, right? Babylon the Great America is going to be destroyed. Starting off financially, it's already morally and ethically, at a very, very low place. But ultimately, this place is going to be destroyed. And as it fails and falters, the Lord is plaguing it. So these are the plagues from Yahweh Shem Yahushua, which are promises, which are found in prophecy. Jeremiah 50:9, for lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon, which is America, an assembly of great nations. And that assembly of great nations is what you see right here, right now, which is Brics, +6. All the new members that's a part of the Brics Alliance. Jeremiah 50:9, for lo, I will cause, it says, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence, it says, she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man, and none shall return in vain. So ultimately, America is going to be fired on by these nations and the EU, which is currently an ally of America, right? Which is the beast, part of the beast system. So these nations are going to turn on Babylon, the Great America, ultimately. But we're seeing the beginnings, which let me go here through the Spirit and show that this is all prophecy, that these things will be going on, that we're witnessing today, that we're living through. This is Matthew 24, starting in verse 6. It says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. That's why we're hearing so much about World War III. It says, see that ye be not troubled, the words of Yahweh, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So as we see these things, we know that the rest of the prophecies, this is going to facilitate the rest of the prophecies coming. which were just a handful of major prophecies that's left, right? So as we're hearing about wars and rumors of wars, we know that the end is nigh, but a few more things got to happen. One of those major things is that the implementation of the mark of the beast, the RFID chip, has to happen, which is going to facilitate chaos and hell on the earth, which is known as the time of Jacob's trouble. So that's another major part of prophecy. Matthew 24:7, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And we're seeing all these things going on. Earthquakes in all over the place, right? More and more routinely. All these are the beginning of sorrows, which is the time of Jacob's trouble. Another name for the beginning of sorrows, right? The great sorrow that's promised to come to the earth in the last days, also known as the time of great tribulation. This is the book of Zephaniah 3 and verse 8. Therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord Yahweh. So as we're seeing these signs, we're waiting on the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua until the day that I rise up to the prey. And the prey is about to be Esau Edom, right? Start with Esau Edom and these nations. For my determination is to gather the nations, which is what we see right here on the screen. This is the gathering of that great assembly of nations that the Lord said will come against Babylon the Great in the last days. Zephaniah 3 and 8, it says, for my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured, it says, with the fire of my jealousy. So Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is about to set fire to Babylon the Great, America. Now let's show that even further. Let's go to the Jeremiah, the 51st chapter. We were in Jeremiah 50. Now let's go to Jeremiah 51. And I'll pick up at verse 6. It says, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. We're supposed to flee by coming out of the ways of Babylon the Great, which is America. It says, be not cut off. It says, in her iniquity, continuing on, for this is the time of the Lord Yahweh's vengeance. So this is the time where the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is going to bring vengeance upon Babylon the Great and all that are one with her, all the nations, right? The Edomites and all of our people who are in league with Babylon. For this is the time of the Lord Yahweh's vengeance. He will render recompense. It says unto her, he will render unto her a recompense. Verse 7, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. That's why the nations are turning on Babylon today, right? The nations are mad. They pissed off at who? Babylon the Great. Verse 8, Babylon is suddenly fallen, and we're witnessing the sudden fall of Babylon, and destroyed, and it's about to be destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. Verse 9, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the sky. So the judgment is placed, and the wickedness have reached unto Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, which is why we're seeing the fall of Babylon, right? We're seeing the fall of Babylon, which is also found here in the book of Revelation 18, starting at verse 4. And it reads, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, the sins of Babylon the Great. It says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquities. So Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, is remember all the wickedness that Esau, Edom, the man of sin, has done. And when you read throughout the scriptures, the one that comes to mind is the book of Ecclesiastes 3, starting at verse 15. Ecclesiastes 3 and 15, and it reads, that which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and the Most High requireth that which is past. So the Most High has remembered all of the wickedness that Babylon the Great, America, has done. Now let's go back to the book of Jeremiah, the 51st chapter, starting back up at verse 10. Jeremiah 51 and 10, it says, and the Lord Yahweh hath brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of the Lord Yahweh, our power. So the monument of the Lord, which is Zion, by the deeds and by the actions, by the fruit of the elect, which will be the first fruits, right? The elect of the nation of Israel is how the nation is going to be sustained. It's through the elect. Jeremiah 51:11, make bright the arrows. So these are the nations firing on Babylon. Gather the shields. The Lord Yahweh have raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, which rushes in the midst of what? This alliance, right? It's a guard unto many of these nations. For his device is against Babylon. And what is that device? We're going to get that here in a second. For his device, speaking of the Medes, it says it's against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord Yahweh, the vengeance of his temple. So this is recompense, right, for all that was done, concerning the children of Israel. Now it says it's the recompense. Let's show that recompense real quick before we go into this next precept. This is 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, going into the recompense. Why does it say this is the recompense? This is 2nd Ezra 15:20. Behold, saith the Most High, I will call together all the kings of the earth. The same thing we read in Zephaniah 3:8. I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and Libanus. It says to turn themselves one against another and repay the things that they have done to them. Speaking of the elect, right? So this is recompense for what was done to the elect. When we read the last part of Jeremiah 51 and verse 11, it says, for his device, speaking of the Medes, it says, is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord Yahweh, the vengeance of his temple. So this is the recompense, right, because of what was done to the children of Israel by the nations. When you read in Psalm the 83rd chapter. Now, it says the device, it says, is to destroy it. Let's show that device. What is that device making reference to? This is a book of Ezekiel, the 38. So these are the plots, the plans when you go into device. What are the plots and plans starting with the Medes, right? It's to destroy Babylon, it says. So this whole chapter is pretty much getting into the destruction of Babylon. And speaking of Gog and Magog, which is Russia today. This is the book of Ezekiel 38. And I'm going to start at verse 10. And it reads, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, it shall also come to pass that at that same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think in evil thoughts. See, these are the devices, the plots, the plans, right? It says that thou shalt think in evil thoughts. So this is making reference to Russia, which are the Medes. Verse 11, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of the unwalled villages. This is that evil thought that's being put in the minds of the Russians, right? Now let's show that this is being put in the minds of the Russians today. And this is all by the hand of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. This is the book of Proverbs 21:1. It says the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord Yahweh, as the rivers of water. It says he turneth it whithersoever he will. So this is all being done by the hand of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. It says like the rivers of water, that the Most High turneth it whithersoever he will. Let's read that again. Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord Yahweh, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will. That's right. Verse 2. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord Yahweh pondereth the heart. So ultimately, everything is done by the will of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. So let's go back. Ezekiel 38:11. And thou wilt say, or thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of the unwalled villages, which is Babylon, a great America, and I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. That's right. So this place is going to be invaded and it's going to be destroyed. Now let's show that. Why this is going to be in this thought is being put in the hearts and the minds, right, of the Medes and those that will be in league with the Medes, which will be the Brics alliance, China being another major factor, another key player. Now here in Isaiah 13, it says Babylon will fall to the Medes. So this is that prophecy, a continuation of the prophecy that we read in Ezekiel 38 and in Jeremiah, the 50th and 51st chapter. Isaiah 13 and verse 17, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which are what? The Russians, which shall not regard silver. It says, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, which are what? The missiles. It says, they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. So what we're about to witness is the destruction of Babylon, which is likened unto the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Those 5 cities in total that was destroyed in the ancient world. Now, let's continue to show that even further. Let's go back to 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, and let's go down to the 28th verse, right? As it pertains to the assembly of great nations that's coming against Babylon. 2nd Ezra 15 and 28, behold, an horrible vision and the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia, see, this is going into a lot of those OPEC nations, those oil and petroleum nations, a lot which are in the Persian Gulf, right? A lot that make up those Saudi in the Persian Gulf region. Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, all of these different nations. It says, which shall come with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth. These are these nations gearing up with their what? Their fighter jets, their submarines, etc. That all they which hear them, it says, may fear and tremble. Also the Carmenians, which is another name for the Iranians, raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boar of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them. So all these nations are being joined under Russia, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians, speaking of America. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature, and if they shall turn themselves, it says, conspiring together in great power to persecute them. So they're about to bring great hell and persecution unto who? Babylon the Great America, right? That's what's coming to Babylon the Great, which is America. Now, let's go and get another precept just touching on this even further. So you go back here, you go into the book of Jeremiah, the 49th chapter. Jeremiah 49, and let's start around 20. Let's further show this. Jeremiah 49 and 20, because it spoke about this assembly of great nations, right? So you have those that are also joined unto Babylon. And one is a nation of Israel, the Israelis today, which are going to be a major part of prophecy, especially concerning Iran, because Iran has vowed to destroy Israel off the face of the map, right? When you go back, there were speeches given by an ex-president named Mahmoud Ahmadinejad and the Grand Ayatollah, which is the religious leader of Iran, right? They support destroying Israel off the face of the map. Now, one of the closest allies to Israel, and the only ally of Israel, right, is America, because all the nations in the so-called Middle East are against the Israelis, right? This is Jeremiah 49 and 20. Therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh, that he have taken against Edom, against the Edomites. And the chief of Edom goes into the Amalekites, which are the so-called Jewish people today. They are the Amalekites. And his purpose, it says that he hath proposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation, it says, make their habitations desolate with them. The earth is moved, speaking of the missiles, at the noise of their fall, at the cry, it says, of the noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea. So this is going to be just like the time when we were delivered out the Red Sea. The elect, right? The elect, the cry of the elect is going to be heard, and the others are going to be destroyed, right? Just like during that time, the children of Israel were delivered and the Egyptians were destroyed. Well, the same thing's going to happen again. This is foreshadowing. Jeremiah 49 and 22, behold, he shall come up and fly as the eagle. So this deliverance, that cry that's going to be heard, is going to be heard by Yahweh Bashim Bashai. He's going to send his beloved son, Yahweh Bashai, to deliver the elect. Behold, he shall come up and fly as the eagle and spread his wings over Basra. And at that day shall the heart of the mighty men of Edom be as the heart of a woman in her pain. So this is the prophecy showing the destruction of Babylon and the deliverance of the children of Israel. So with that, I pray that this lesson was edifying, exhorting, and comforting unto the believers of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bashim Yahweh. Bashim Rakakwadash. Honors be to the elder apostles of Great Millstone and like-minded elders that teach this word in truth and in sincerity. Barakim La Habayaf Madawada. Blessings to the house of David. Which of you brothers pushing this truth on the four corners of the earth, giving all diligence to make your calling and election sure, helping seal the elect of the nation of Israel, for the return of our Lord Hamashiach Yahushai is at hand, and to the Akim, Wa'agwath, brothers and sisters that also listen and believe on the glorious gospel being preached. Unto you I say Shalom.